And we are live. Welcome, welcome. Happy afternoon, market close. How you guys doing? Wow, I am pretty damn tired. It has been a long couple of days here. We've got Bitcoin still challenging today's high. We just pulled a big red to green move. And yeah, pretty big volatility today. We've got MicroStrategy that is trying to rip into the close. Let's see, we just made a new high. Let me share my screen here. But yeah, guys, if you can hear me clearly, see the camera and all that, just throw me a hell yeah or a let's go in the chat. We should be streaming here on YouTube as well as X. And we've got Brad and American HODL coming on any second now. So let's see. I'm just looking at MicroStrategy. You can see the overnight price action here. And then right now we've got 10 or 15 minutes left into the close. We did make a higher high today, along with Bitcoin, which pulled a red to green move, which basically means it opened and then dipped down to 85 and then is looking like, if it holds up here, is going to close at a new high. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Go ahead and like it up on YouTube or X, wherever you're watching from. And yeah, we're just going to really get this started off by doing some market analysis into the close. I was trying to see today if we were going to get some fireworks and a parabolic rip through 100K. And, you know, Stock Geek TV, aka Travis, did some analysis showing that there's actually a statistical edge to looking at Bitcoin's price after the US market close, because there's some alpha that can come in around that time as well. So we'll see if we get this like afternoon shot, or if the market needs to consolidate. That's, you know, as Tone was saying earlier this morning, this is most likely is after a big push, you get some consolidation and then another push. And so that red to green move was pretty damn compelling, though. If you look here at the hourly, this was the pullback today. And then even looking at the Bitcoin CME futures intraday, you can see that clear resistance at 90K. So yeah, bulls immediately bought the dip kind of right off of regular market open today. And then, you know, it's up, let's see, from that pivot low, about 5%. So nothing crazy, but, you know, just kind of regular market action. There we go. We've got Brad on the mic. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Dude, you are looking handsome. Look at that mustache.
Why, thank you, sir. Been growing this thing all ever since our first episode.
Nice, man. Yeah, I let mine get out of control, and then I said I was going to shave it when we hit a new all-time high, and I just got it way more manageable. But yeah, yours is actually shaped and looking mighty good, if I do say so myself.
You look good with a beard, without a beard. You got a good chin line, man.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Well, yeah, man, how's it going? It's been, I think, about a year since we did our last show with the three of us. I just checked. It was November of last year. Then before that, it was in the depths of hell in the bear market in 2022. So a lot's happened since then.
Yeah. It's been wild.
It's been a massive just shift in overall sentiment. And yeah, I mean, has there been anything that's surprised you so far this, like,
oh yeah,
since the bottom, or, you know, are things just kind of going as expected for you?
No, I mean, I did not expect the SEC to get their ass handed to them so handily.
Right. Yeah.
Like this, you know, I didn't think the regulators were going to be neutered this bad. So that surprised me.
That was a very welcome surprise. Yeah.
So that was one thing that caught me off guard. The other thing that caught me off guard was the Chinese money coming in January, like earlier this year, December, January timeframe.
Mhm.
Gentlemen.
Hey, buddy. How's it
Hey,
going?
how do I sound? Good?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Didn't expect American HODL's power to grow so large.
Yeah, man. We were just talking about, like, was there anything that surprised us since we talked last time, which was about a year ago, November 2023? You know, was there anything that kind of surprised you, or what is it just kind of like business as usual?
Let me think about that. Nothing is coming to mind for what surprised me since over the past year. I mean, I didn't go back and listen to our episode, but I would imagine me and Brad were pretty on the money because I don't think there's been any large surprises since then.
Yeah, Brad mentioned just how he was surprised at the SEC getting their ass kicked so bad, which, you know, was definitely, I think, a well-deserved thing. But yeah, definitely surprising how fast that shifted.
Yeah, I would say that I wouldn't call it a surprise because certainly many of us in the Bitcoin community were pulling for Trump and we were expecting Trump to win. But I would say pleasantly surprised that Trump did win and it was so resounding and in such a landslide fashion. Because, you know, listen, whatever you think about Trump is your personal business as an American citizen, and as a global citizen, because a lot of people around the world have thoughts on Trump. But like for me, and as somebody who's a market participant and a Bitcoiner, I think it's hard to deny that, you know, Trump is going to be very good for the Bitcoin markets and very good for the markets broadly.
Yeah, I mean, that was very evident, like election night, as it was becoming clear he was going to win. It was like price was just waiting. And as soon as it got the go ahead, it's like, all right, all time high. Here we go, baby.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was watching everything come in and I saw the Bitcoin price start to rip and I was like, oh, it's in. Like, he's going to win. It's being priced in right now.
Yeah, it was great night for sure. And then the following days after, I just, like, my back pain came back because I had this back pain that, like, people used to make fun of me. Actually, that's so funny. That's where me and HODL met the first time, was my back pain story. I don't know if we covered that on here yet.
We did. Yeah. I think we talked about it I can't remember if it's the first time or the second time, but
I led a mimetic attack on Brad because he was saying he had back pain when the Bitcoin was at its lows.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't at the lows. You got to give me credit. It was 8,000 or 9,000. And I was like, this shit's dropping 50%. I can't take another 50% drop after we just survived it. I got to take some off, sell some, and then I'll buy it cheaper. And then all the Bitcoin maxis came after me. And I was like, whoa, I still have a lot of Bitcoin, like, percentage-wise for my net worth. Like, calm down, guys. But I get it.
Well, why is your back pain back now?
I just learned about this thing called eustress. So not many people get to learn about the problem of eustress in their lives because they're not holding Bitcoin. So when you can have stress, which shows up in, like, too much cortisol buildup in your muscles, and the way to deal with the cortisol buildup that can happen with your muscles with the stress is like meditation, grounding, exercise. But then you can have eustress, which is the opposite of stress, which is too much winning, can have the same effect. Too much winning can cause the exact same physiological effect in your body as too much bad stress. And so I realized, like, my back pain's back, not because, oh, I'm scared if something's going to happen. It's like, Trump won, free markets are back, free speech is back, Bitcoin's at an all-time high. I'm like, I can't take this winning. It's too much winning.
Dude, you know, it's so funny that you bring this up, you know, because there is a physiological response here. I was just talking about this with somebody before I got on the stream, but yesterday was the biggest day in Bitcoin's history in nominal terms. It was a $9,000 day. So whatever amount of Bitcoin you have, times it by 9,000. That's how much money you made yesterday. So people were doing very well. For a lot of Bitcoiners, it was the most amount of money they had ever made in a single day ever in their life, right? And so it kind of felt like, if you've ever done Molly, which I certainly haven't, Chris, but if you have ever done it, it's awesome. And the next day you feel horrible because it totally depletes, like, your serotonin and your dopamine stores, et cetera. So like this morning, I'm waking up like with, like, kind of a mild, like, physiological hangover from yesterday's price action. So I actually do understand like what Brad is talking about.
Dude, okay, that makes so much sense because I'm like, right now, I'm like, why am I so exhausted?
Yeah, your
And
body's sore and shit.
dude,
Right.
yes. I'm like, well, I did a live stream this morning, but it was only 2 hours. And like, come on, man. Like, guys do physical labor all day and they're okay. I'm like, something else is going on. I'm either getting sick or like something. Yeah, yesterday was just so fucking intense. And I was up like just ruminating all night last night and thinking about the numbers. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you can think about, you can ruminate and get down like rabbit holes of catastrophizing, which causes that physiological response and tightness and cortisol buildup. And the way that you deal with that is you meditate, you get in the sauna, you go to the gym, you know, you push some weights around, you eat healthy, you try to spend time with your family and your kids. You know what I mean? You do things that reduce the stress.
Yep.
Same sort of thing with the ruminating about the positive. New all-time high.
We just hit
Oh my
90K
God.
live on stream.
Oh, my back. Oh, I can't take it.
Okay, so at 90K now, we're 10% away from $100,000.
Let's go.
I mean, that is crazy. Brad was here at like a penny per Bitcoin.
$10.
10
Pretty
bucks.
much same thing. Whatever.
Basically a penny. Yeah. You could sell magic beans for Bitcoin back then.
Yeah.
I was here at $200 a Bitcoin. Chris, when were you first around?
So I started getting serious about Bitcoin in the first bubble of 2013 when it went from like, what was it, 50 to 166 and then crashed. So after that crash is when I started buying. But it wasn't until like, if you guys remember when the Silk Road coins got sold and Tim Draper bought them in 2014, I think he bought them at like $600.
600, right? And it was 3x the market rate, remember?
Yeah. So after that, I was like, okay, if he's putting this much in, which I think at the time it was like tens of millions of dollars, and I was like, oh, that's a lot of money.
About $30 million buy, I think.
Yeah.
What a Chad.
So after that, I was like, all right, man, he's not an idiot. Okay, let's really, really think about this. And so in 2015, when it dipped into 188, and then 2015, it was flat. That was the year that I was like, all right, this is accumulation season right here.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, man, $10 would have been nice. I didn't get anything damn near close to that, but
I mean, it's just it's crazy.
What were you in HODL? Because we got a $9,000 can, or you were saying something about the
10% away.
Yeah, I was just saying we're 10% away from $100,000, right? Which is crazy because I think we all remember when Bitcoin, moved 10%, and that was it was $20, right? Now a 10% move is $10,000. But it's very reasonable that we all think we're going to break through 100K here in the short term. One question I think we could talk about from a trading perspective, because I know Chris has a bit of a trading audience, is what do we think about the breakthrough of 100K? It seems like a pretty significant psychological resistance level. So are we going to see a fight for 100K? Will we cut right through it? 50K, there wasn't much of a fight for it. 10K had a bigger fight psychologically. And by the way, I was thinking about this. It's so dumb that we're, as human beings, 5s and 10s are a big deal to us because of literally the digits on our hands and feet. Like, we're so stupid. We have such right? Like,
it is so stupid
that in the market that 5s and 10s are a big deal. So
yeah,
I don't know. Let me get both of your takes on that.
It can't go over this many. It's too much.
Yeah. So I thought that there was today about a 30% chance that we were going to go to 100K today. The reason for that was because of, sometimes when Bitcoin goes parabolic, it does it in like 3-day spurts. So I was like, okay, there's I'd say maybe a 30 or 40% chance that today would have been that third day where it would have exceeded yesterday's percent gains, which it was up 10.3% yesterday. And I was like, oh, wow, if we get that third day parabolic rip, boom, there we are at 100. And my thought was, if we did that and we got to 100 today, that we would have had like a lot of sell orders at 100. But if we grind up, the longer it takes to get there, the bigger the odds I think are that when we do touch it, it kind of shoots through it. What do you guys think?
I think I kind of agree with your assessment. I think I see it happening more or less the same way. What do you think, Brad?
Well, I just kind of revert back to the wisdom of Jesse Livermore and Reminiscences of a stock operator, right? He
Great
talks
book.
about the
Great book.
price momentum and how once a barrier is reached, the momentum takes it way beyond the ceiling, the psychological ceiling. So
Mhm.
88 was obviously a magnet. 100,000 is a magnet, and I don't know. It seems likely that it's going to go crazy, and that's also now. It's kind of at the point where I don't even really want to speculate at the moment. It's one of those periods of Bitcoin, right? Like I don't even want to start calculating and what if it goes here and like how much is that, and you
Yeah.
know, even when it's at these prices, I don't like calculating because I just don't want to be internalizing all this stuff. But you know, such as what you got to do if you're trading. So I guess a lot of folks are trading, so they got to know about this stuff.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I've actually got a lot of targets just based on like TA stuff, anywhere from 100 to like 120K. So my answer is always like, okay, if I'm gonna take profit, it depends on how we get there, right? It's like I let price action be my guide. If we shoot up too fast and it's parabolic, I'm gonna take some profit and then buy on the crash. If it's a nice, easy trend, I'm gonna buy breakouts and add to that winner. So it's all about price action. And today I was like, man, part of me was hoping that we got that rip to 100 just for the fun of it. But I was also like, shit, if we go too quick, it could get parabolic and then we're going to dump back to like 75 like that. So it's kind of good to see this consolidation day.
It's healthy. These movements have been pretty healthy so far. I had the same feeling as you did. I like, who doesn't want to see it break 100, but you know, careful what you wish for kind of thing. I think for me, when we talk about like what's going to happen after we breach 100, you know, every 4 years, Bitcoin trades a order of magnitude difference. If you look back on its history in the charts. So, you know, it spends about 4 years in the $100 range, 4 years in the $1,000 range. Now it's about to spend 4 roughly odd years in the 100,000 range. But that's a big range. There's a big difference between 100,000 and 800,000, right? And we don't, once it breaks containment, once it breaks above 100 and we're now in that range, the 6-figure range, you know, it can go from 100 to 800. That's something that Bitcoin can do. Will it do that? Will it do that next year? I don't know. I can't tell you. I can't tell you that. I wish I could. For me as a long-term hodler, a long-term investor, I don't try and play these games where I take profits at the top, right? Because I'm here for all of the good days and all of the bad days over a period of a long number of years. And that's the game that I'm playing. And I think it's a very profitable game, but people have different reasons for trading, et cetera. So when you're trying to look and find, you know, what might be the levels, I think Chris's approach of, you know, being very cognizant of your surroundings and what's happening in the world around you and what other market participants are thinking, and then, you know, seeing the momentum of the moves, I think is the right approach. Although it's hard, man. The Bitcoin bull run could top out at 250K. It could top out at 1 million.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. No. So I think on the last call, man, it was a year ago. I can't believe that. But were you both in agreement that we were going to 1 million? Or was that mostly you, HODL?
Long term.
Yeah.
I said take a run at 1 million this time, and I still.
Yeah, HODL said this cycle, take a run at 1 million, break everybody's models.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I said, and this is probably the thing that's changed for me over the last year, because I've been feeling FOMO for upgrading my life. Like I want to get a nice house, right? Like I want to start building a citadel type of mentality I got into earlier in the year, right? I'm like, I want to exercise, have a great relationship with my family, with my wife, my daughter. I want to have a citadel mind and a citadel body, and then build a citadel. Like that's the mode that I got into earlier this year, and I sort of disconnected from price and from.
Yeah, I saw you disappeared for a while, and I wanted to ask you about that. Like, what does that mean to you, citadel?
Well, I locked my Twitter because I was like, this is just poison. I mean, I was focusing way too much on all the shit going wrong in crypto last cycle. I was like way too heavily focused on all the memes and all the Doge this and DeFi that and like Ponzi this and Ponzi that and what are the regulators going to do? And it was like, I don't know what that was about, but I took some time away from things this year and I was like, okay, listen, I got to just like control my inputs. I don't want to watch politics videos because it's going to piss me off. I don't want to watch like Ponzi videos. That's going to piss me off. So I was like, I'm going to focus on what I do want, not what I don't want. And it was actually
Love it.
conversations with folks that I respect that have like good lives at home. You know what I mean? Like actually Jason Williams was somebody I talked to quite a bit about this stuff. Like how do you be happy all the time? You know, like how do you not get upset? Like how do you just let things ride and let things roll and take things easy? Like that's what I aspire to be. Like that's like the Citadel mind, the Citadel body is you be able to look great, look like your Bitcoin wallet. And the Citadel mind is to be happy and be somebody that people look up to and that your family looks up to and they can confide in you and you can be a source of inspiration for them, not somebody that's pissed off all the time because Dogecoin pumped. You know what I mean? And they're holding Bitcoin.
Right.
So I took some time to just like disconnect from all the inputs of Twitter, political, finance, markets, macro. All this macro shit was just driving me crazy because I'd just always been in these negative mind cycles of like ruminating on what happens if a Great Depression comes and what's going to happen to my Bitcoin. And, you know, I mean, I was still pretty bullish on Bitcoin, even if the shit hit the fan. But
Brad would call me up and he would be like, it's going to be a Great Depression, but with Netflix,
2.0.
we're going to have Netflix, but it's going to be like the Great Depression.
Life's gonna suck. So what lessons did you learn from this disconnect? And like, was it worth it?
I was actually like, even for somebody who was a doomer, I was like positive because I was like, it'll be Great Depression 2.0, but we're gonna have toilet paper, Netflix, AI. It's not gonna be that bad. It's just gonna be sucky for financial markets. But no, what I learned was just Michael Saylor's advice. Actually, you know, be cheerful and constructive. I just took that to heart too. He talks about, you know, his 7 or 8 rules for life or whatever, and 2 of them are cheerful and constructive. You know, people ask him all the time about other things, DeFi and Ethereum and Doge and crypto and all this stuff, and he just says, I'm going to stay in my lane. And then he just educates about Bitcoin, talks about Bitcoin. So I did this exercise of setting my goals, and I realized, like, what do I care about? I care about educating more people about Bitcoin. I don't care about educating them about why crypto is overvalued and why they shouldn't be trading and all that stuff. I care about people just protecting themselves with Bitcoin. So I started to focus more on just getting my shit together. And then that message of just talking more about Bitcoin. So that's where I am this year. And in that journey of like trying to set goals and be the person that could actually build a citadel, because you guys know the citadel meme, right? I mean, obviously HODL does, but do you know what, Chris?
Nope. Go ahead and educate
HODL.
us.
You gotta tell about the Citadel meme.
So, you know, basically Bitcoiners have this idea of like Citadel theory, which is many different things, to be honest with you. Everybody has their own sort of imagery surrounding what is a Citadel. But the general thesis here is that a Citadel is like a sovereign sort of city-state, like sort of a merchant state, you know, the way we used to have in like maybe, you know, 1500s Venice or something like Florence. And that, you know, you basically have your like Sparta. It's like we're taking it all the way back to like ancient city-states, and that, you know, one sufficiently motivated Bitcoiner with a little bit of Bitcoin money can go to a place, set up shop, start collecting like-minded individuals. You know, and it's all these things. It's like your Bitcoin stuff, your farm co-op, your community organizations, you know, all that, right? So it's like what Brad is talking about is just the idea that, you know, the Bitcoin wealth. I mean, here's the simplest explanation. The Bitcoin wealth that we all have is not going to be used as it's popularly advertised for Lamborghinis, you know, and Rolexes and these things that are really sort of, you know, meaningless, right? It's going to be used for rebuilding American community, society, you know, revivifying institutions, putting the Bitcoin to work to help everyone. And there, by the way, there's a selfish reason to do this and a non-selfish reason to do this. And I think the selfish reason to do this is because if Bitcoin does what we think it's going to do, then Bitcoin's going to be worth some ungodly sum of money. Like a single individual Bitcoin is going to be worth hundreds of millions, if not billions or trillions of dollars, which sounds crazy from where we sit here at 90K. But hey, it sounded crazy when it went from a penny to $100,000, and it's about to do that, right? Yep. So when Bitcoiners have this level of wealth, they're going to have to, or want to, you know, help the people around them in a way that's meaningful for, you know, two reasons. One is an altruistic reason, because you want to see your society be good and you want to see your family grow up in a healthy and vibrant society. And the other reason is because, let's face it, jealousy is a bitch and mimetic desire is a bitch. And if you have all this wealth and the people around you are not doing good, they're going to come for you. The pitchforks come out at that point. And so Citadel theory is this sort of melding of all of these things to come together and say, here's something meaningful you can do with your Bitcoin wealth. And that thing is building strong communities and city states.
I love that. Just the idea of, you know, community. And I hear a lot of people say this in our community, like when we do in-person events, you know, a lot of people, like Bitcoiners, feel alone, because if you're in like some small town in Texas, you probably don't have anybody really to talk to about this stuff. And like you said about the jealousy angle, tell me what you guys think of this. So I tweeted this morning, said, you know, the first decade we went from "you are an idiot" to "you got lucky." And I think this decade is going to shift from "you got lucky" to "it's not fair." And we're going to see like some politicians start to gaslight us into thinking that we did something wrong. They're going to say, "Oh, it's not fair that you got a slice of this, you know, finite capital pie." Do you guys think that's true, that, you know, particularly like the Dems and stuff are going to start saying shit like that?
Absolutely. I think you nailed it. And I think it's best that we be preemptive. We don't just sit there and wait for that to happen. Because, you know, listen, the state is a weapon, and those that have it wield it, right? So we don't want it wielded against us. This is why, you know, this cycle, Bitcoiners went from, over the last like year and a half, Bitcoiners went from being like, I don't really care, man, politics are kind of cringe, and like, I'm not interested in that, to being like, no, I support Donald Trump like 100%. And I want to see Ross Ulbricht freed from prison. I want to see a national strategic reserve on Bitcoin. I want to see protections for self-custody rights. I want to see protections for peer-to-peer rights. We have a wish list. And also we're getting richer and we're more politically active. And like, we do expect our voices to be heard, number one, period. So yeah, I mean, I think we got to be preemptive on that, because the jealousy is very real. There's this famous experiment with rhesus monkeys, where they put them in a cage and they give them, they're right next to each other. It's a, you know, just a regular steel cage where they can see through, and they give both monkeys a cucumber, right? Both monkeys totally happy. Cucumber, yummy. I got a cucumber, you got a cucumber. Everything's great. Then they give one monkey a grape, okay? The other monkey that got a cucumber is like, the fuck is this cucumber? Don't you kidding me? It throws it back at the people like, you know, what are you doing? I need the grape too. Why has this guy got a grape? And then the monkey goes crazy, starts shaking the cage, trying to get to the guy with the grape. Later, they let the monkey with the grape out into the yard with the rest of the monkeys, and they murder him. The grape has already been eaten. They're not killing him for the grape. They killed him out of sheer spite. That's why they killed him. Because if they kill him, they think maybe the grapes will go to them tomorrow, right? So, I mean, that's human nature. That's animal nature. It's in us. It's going to happen. And yeah, I would say that the best way to prevent these things from occurring is, first of all, get as many of your friends and family on Bitcoin as you possibly can. Spread the wealth and the knowledge, and really be generous with your time and your resources, and help people understand what's happening here. And then number two, I think you got to give back. Every Bitcoiner needs to, you know, think about a tithe. You know, if you're Christian, you understand that concept. If you're not Christian, it just means giving 10% of your income to the church. And the church doesn't have to be the church, but it can be whatever, community sponsored organizations. Try and make the lives of the people around you good, and it will preempt a lot of the things that are the evil, you know, worst parts of human nature that are unfortunately going to descend on us.